you for being here. I saw the film yesterday at the screening.
That's good, because sometimes people don't watch it.
Oh, no, that can't be. It's a very interesting film. I know I used to work in Edinburgh. I knew you were there, so that's lovely.
Fantastic festival. We really enjoyed it. This one also, I have to say, but
it's first time for me too, but it's really nice. So your film, My Friend the Polish Girl, is fiction about a faux documentary, and the entire thing is also based on a lie. Is that a correct assessment of how you see the complex nature of the film?
And then to get to a deeper truth, maybe?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say it's a fiction that, I mean, I suppose within the world of the film, it's a real documentary in a way, but we're filming
For
a
Katie,
documentary.
you mean,
Our character is a documentary maker, and she's making a film, and we are observing, the fine line between, I suppose, artist, muse, someone has power, doesn't.
It sounds very meta when you have to explain it, but when you see the film, it's
exactly. I was
very
trying to unpack those many layers, and also it's interesting because to me, like the two main elements sometimes are in conflict and sometimes not. Are the sort of human exploration of this relationship between these two people. This is the Katie, the American director who's shooting this documentary, and the Polish character that sort of becomes the subject of a documentary. But there's a very human side to that, like the exploration of these two characters in what becomes a sort of codependent relationship. They end up living together in the same place, and they're to various ways, to various degrees, exploiting each other. But also there's sort of an investigation of how you can corrupt the documentary form on the filming side. So what I would like you to get into is which one of these two comes first in your mind when you were thinking of the film. Is it more, let's do something with the documentary form to explore how it can be used and misused? Or was it more, I want to see how a relationship between a director and a character in the film can sort of become this very human, complex dynamic?
I think generally we're very interested in power dynamics between people.
Okay.
So, and the filmmakers were, the documentarians were, is a world that we really know well. We didn't have to do much research to get that right.
I think that was foremost, and then I think the other things are complementary to that power dynamic. They all feed into that.
Okay. I think on its deepest level, this film is about to get to know someone, you need to be open to the dark sides. And if you don't, you're not open, then you will never get to know that person. And that goes for documentarians and any relationship between two people. So that's the main theme of the film.
And I think if you can't open up, you end up playing power games. I think very rare. I think probably very rarely are we really open to another person. Most of the time, we're in some way a little bit cat and mouse.
It's interesting. So you're saying that opening up is a way to avoid power games?
Yeah, I think definitely.
Both sides.
Both sides.
Both sides.
It's interesting because there's a shot in the film that yesterday really. I had this thought in my mind already, but this shot sort of made it more clear. And it's a shot from the house, from the apartment, through the window and overlooking. She's going away, and Katie is looking at her in the street, going in the street of London. And I thought this really looks as a similar shot in Phantom Thread, which is old. Then I thought it's sort of like this very silently coming to an agreement about a relationship which is completely fucked up and dysfunctional, but in a way it's a mutually beneficial thing. And
I think Paul Thomas Anderson copied that.
that.
You might have done this earlier, but no, because that also, again, it poses a lot of questions.
I mean, firstly, amazing compliment because we love him, and so that really makes me happy to hear something like that. But I think on a level, I think sometimes we get a bit used to, I think for me, Phantom Thread was like derided as such a toxic relationship. How can you? And I'm like, maybe I'm totally crazy, but like a lot of my life is within toxic relationships. I mean, I think to the extent I would say it's fairly normal, and it's more abnormal, to get to that goodness. I think it takes a lot of trust. You have to get over a lot of things. Like, aren't we primarily going towards the toxic? I mean, isn't it the archetypal thing that we meet a bad guy, a bad girl, and why? Well, it's something within you probably, within all of us. So I think, to me, this kind of overly sweet kind of like a picture of how life should be. And it's not that I'm so on the dark side, but I just think the dark side is so present within all of us. Let's rather talk about it than pretend that this is so alien. No, in my life, never. I'm just like talking about, kittens at dinner. Kittens.
Another thing that surprised me yesterday is that I saw in the audience afterwards quite a few people, at least a couple of questions, who were convinced and quite shocked by the fact that the film was real in their mind. And I thought...
And we introduced the film as directors, and they still,
But even taking away all this sort of extra textual information, even just the film, I thought, had a very distinct sort of tongue-in-cheek element since the beginning that sort of alerted to that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I knew too much about the film going in. Is that something in your experience, because you've been showing the film in festivals?
Not really.
Not really.
No, I mean, we've experienced it here.
Yes.
Okay.
And to be fair, we have had a lot of interest from documentary film festivals. And we even got into a documentary film festival in Korea, which we wrote to them, "Are you sure you want this film? 'Cause it's a fiction." And they said, and they were giving us the flight there and back. It was great. And then they said, "I'm sorry, we thought it was a documentary." They cancelled the film from the festival. So, but I think it maybe has to do something with the language difference. My theory is also that there's a slightly different way, a slightly different style of acting in Poland. It's a little bit more pronounced. Whereas there are not many Polish films that have that very naturalistic way of acting. So I think people get a bit sort of confused whether this is real or whether this is not. We've had.
I mean, definitely people look at it and they because the word mockumentary doesn't stick with anyone, because they always because a mockumentary is kind of always a little bit kind of like you can feel the fakeness, whereas we really, really, really tried not to have that fakiness of a mockumentary. So I think people go, but non-real documentaries have that kind of fake tone to it. Somehow whereas we really tried to have it very, very naturalistic, because we thought that'll be the death of us if we have any kind of, it doesn't feel real.
Right.
So I think that is a confusing element, but I agree with you. There's a certain style of acting in Poland, which is.
One person specifically, that guy, he was very, and at some point I thought this is some sort of elaborate, like he's responding to the fiction of the film with another fiction, because he was very taken with this. He was shook by the cruelty, and because there's one scene in particular with a character who's on his deathbed, very sick, and it seemed to really have an impact on this person, but he was almost performing it, and at that point I became unsure myself, also because he was speaking in Polish, and to me this was all, I was waiting for the translation, so it was quite peculiar, and I wonder maybe going around festivals, that's what happens. But no.
No, that has been specific to here.
Specifically, I mean, we'll see how it goes further.
Yeah,
but,
we'll see how the next reading
but
goes.
definitely the response here, even before we premiered, from people have been sort of, we've just taken a film, like even Zanussi, who saw our film, said,
What did he say?
you just like, I wanted to just throw the TV out the window because I thought this is an immoral documentary, and you just found some girl and you filmed her. And that was, we really put a lot of work, a lot of takes into it.
He defended the film in the end because he said once he understood, he went with it. But also in the because there was a Polish Film Commission who looked at for funding, and one of them said to us, "I wish you'd just let her act, let her really give her best performance." And we were like, that is a brilliant performance. That's like I think she was like outstanding. But it's so natural.
Because she has to play a different level.
Because if you meet Aneta here, I mean, she's a completely different person. I mean, if
So to me, that was a performance. It's just that there wasn't some kind of high drama.
it wasn't emphasized that it's a performance.
Yes.
I know that it wasn't essential to you that she was specifically Polish. So you were mostly looking for a person who was coming from a different background, but could have been something else as well. At what point did she come into this? Was it the result of a search, or you knew her and you fitted the story to her?
It was quite practical. We knew Aneta. We worked with her before, and so we sort of approached her and asked if she would like to be in something like this, and then we wrote the part
For her.
for her and for the actress playing Kate as well.
But in no way was it kind of aligned to her personality, if you know what I mean. But I think it would have always been someone Polish because we always do Polish stories. But I felt we didn't want it to be specifically some sort of Polish caricature.
Because she also had to have, she needed to be in the UK for a long time, so there was an element of the accent, which I was paying attention to.
That was very important to us, the accent, actually, because I think she has a very mild accent. I think, and you see that in Hollywood when they have, Spanish actors or Latin America, they have a mild accent, and it's important because otherwise you become a caricature again.
And her accent, though distinctively an accent, still, it's very believably for someone who's been there for 12 years. So that's, and also I think she has this sort of Naomi Watts quality to her, which helps with, especially later in the film when it becomes it's sort of dreamlike, hypnotic.
Right.
I thought it was
Early Naomi Watts.
So we got Lynch and Autumn.
We like it.
No, but I suppose there's a certain the unpleasantness that you mentioned in the reaction of the lady. That's something that you have to deal with because the film is very much unpleasant on a number of levels, not just like there are different levels of exploitation being thrown around. Do you see this as a film about exploitation?
I think certain people. Somehow we had this review here that said that somehow the viewer becomes complicit as well because you could be watching her. So I think that plays tricks with the viewer's mind as well, and you feel a bit, offended. And great, that's what we wanted.
You're okay with
No,
that.
but we wanted to provoke them to think.
Right. I mean, it's dark, so we have to take on board that people will take this hard, not feel uncomfortable, and that's okay.
I mean, we didn't. I don't think we didn't intend. I mean, we don't. Do we feel this film is so dark?
I probably don't see it as dark as other people. I probably don't see it as. I like Alicia. I like her as a character. I get her. I'm all right with her. I'm not saying she does good things, but I don't do good things all the time.
Sure.
Is anyone good? 100%. I don't think you are. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting for me. It might be like a crucial element that Katie is American specifically, so not British, not from somewhere else in Europe, but she's a very distinct American entity. And I'm curious, since she is very much the architect of much of the darkness in the film, and also the one who plays fast and loose with the idea of documentary filmmaking and maybe filmmaking in general.
Yeah.
Was it essential to you that she was American? And I'm not just saying this because, like, if you have a British girl, it sort of makes the correlation between the immigrant and her more direct,
Yeah.
which would have probably brought this in another direction. But the fact that she's American, is that a commentary on something, anything for you?
You know, the anti-capitalistic stance on America. No. I think there was to be fair, there was a moment in the film, so she's mainly behind the camera, where we thought maybe we should redub her to be British because she does a brilliant British accent, this
okay.
actress. She's American. But I think it's a relationship between two lonely people. So if she was British, I think she would have some, you know.
She wouldn't be as lonely.
She wouldn't be
Okay.
so they sort of mirror each other in their expatness. So that was quite important. Whether she's American, I mean,
I mean,
Maybe subconsciously?
subconsciously, definitely. I mean, but there's a lot of
just a
American
coincidence.
kids, rich kids that live in London,
Yeah,
and
sure.
so that was
I
definitely
don't
part
think
of
you
it.
get that level of money as commonly in British society. So,
Yeah.
you know, you're someone who can just take time out, make a movie, you know, that's quite wealthy in a way.
Yeah.
So I think we wanted that level of money. And also I think British society is so, I mean, coming from England myself, is so saturated in the class system. You know, however you place her accent, she's already marked as something. I think she had a bit more of a kind of neutrality, you know, as an other person within it if she was not British somehow, I think.
Plus, we watched a lot of video bloggers, vloggers, and a lot of mainly girls, also on Tumblr and on other social media, and they tend to be American. I mean, it's just something about that sort of look at me thing.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding
Yeah,
to.
That
I mean,
for sure.
The second you place that as an American,
I mean, the
adds something.
the extreme expression of individualism, I think, is very American, and I think in the end, this film is very much about her, about herself. You know? So yeah, that probably fed into the American choice subconsciously somehow.
Have you seen Kate Plays Christine, an actress? These two films.
No, but people have told us about it. The actress.
Oh, that
One is actress,
Uh-huh.
and it's a documentary about an actress,
Yeah, I know,
American
I know.
actress,
I haven't seen
going back to work after taking some years off, and there's a relationship with this director who's making this project about her, but that's also a real life. Like she was an
Right.
actress, and now she's sort of
Yeah,
dealing
she's
with
playing
how-
herself,
yeah.
sort of.
And Kate Plays Christine is about an actress on a project about a real story of this woman who committed suicide on live TV, and
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen that film. Yeah. I've seen
and they both deal with this. There's very clearly a bond between the performer who's being asked to create a performance live and the director, but then you're watching the entire thing unfold from an external point of view once again. So it's kind of the same structure, obviously very different context.
Man Bites Dog. You know,
Yeah, sure.
You know,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
Calendar, I think, Goyan song which we haven't seen. It's really hard to get, but it has a similar thing. So yeah, but yeah.
And there's also an element that I feel like I've seen before with this idea that the film touches on that very briefly, that you can sort of cheat the system of film festival distribution and sort of being slightly less than sincere in your artistic expression, and it feels like I've been, especially this in the era of sort of globalized festival culture. There are people that it's a running joke of like, let's make a film with all the right ingredients to be successful at festivals. But then, and people do the films, but usually it's a very real case of having your cake and eat it too, because then you're actually doing, like you're commenting on that, but you're actually doing that. Do you see your film as possibly about that too?
Yeah, we definitely want
Those
to get into
films get
festivals.
into festivals, yes,
having
and you
interviews.
have,
Yeah.
But you're also commenting on that, like you very explicitly, and you're not the first. Like I've seen many films, some even in the title, saying, you know, let's do this and get to Cannes.
Did they get to Cannes?
No.
I mean, I think primarily, to be fair, if I'm going to try and be honest here, but I think for us, the whole film within I think there's a lot of in-jokes in this,
Sure.
you know, for filmmakers, and I think they get it. But beyond that, I mean, I think primarily this was really about relationships. I think, you know, themes, like talking about the dark side of a relationship, talking about the psychology of this character. It was really important that she was psychologically real. I mean, I don't think we just did a superficial kind of fun thing that just got into lots of festivals. I mean, there's a joke about that.
No, it's very clearly something on the side. It's mostly like there's those little ingredients. It's not the core of the film.
Yeah.
Even though there have been films which were entirely based on this concept. This is not you, but I'm curious because the moment you put it out there and it's in the film, people sort of start to make that negotiation in their mind, like, am I being part of it?
No, I mean, definitely. Of course, you want your film to premiere somewhere good, but no, there was no calculation here that because of this we will get into festival. No.
Yeah, there wasn't that kind of thing.
It's not like,
and also, I think that, you know, like I remember there's that line when she goes, and it will be probably shown in a lot of festivals. But we just thought that was hilarious ourselves, you know.
Yeah.
We just thought it was a joke. And you know, and of course all filmmakers are obsessed about the festival circuit,
and I think it was a good way for the character to sort of convince the actress to sort of, you know, this is good for you as well, which is, you know, all this.
Speaking of which, where are you going next?
Gdynia next, so which is important for this territory, for Poland.
Yeah, it's the Polish. It's like the most important festival here. So it's Polish. I don't know.
Bastards?
César.
Yeah, something like that.
And
then we're waiting,
don't know.
waiting by the phone.
Because we've done the main premieres, and now, you know,
We're in line for
We're
a few,
working on it.
and we'll see.
we're pushing it out there.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, maybe.